This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and second time's a charm. This is the Microsoft Surface 2. This is a Windows 8.1 RT tablet direct from Microsoft with some improvements inside and a new look to the casing. And pretty much the same style, but new finish. We're going to look at it now. So here it is, the new Surface 2, not to be confused with the Surface Pro 2. Microsoft dropped the RT from the name for their more affordable counterpart right here. That's the one we're reviewing. This is Windows 8.1 RT. That means it does not run Windows EXEs of old. No regular Photoshop on here, stuff that you have software on CDs. Doesn't run on here. Hopefully by now you understand that drill. I know it's been a little confusing so far. You get all the Metro or Live Tile applications here, of which there are now about 100,000. A year ago when we reviewed the first Surface, the Surface RT, there were, gosh, hundreds. That was it. So things have improved a lot, though some of the staples aren't here. Instagram, not here. That's one of the biggies that people complain about, but it's coming to Windows Phone in the coming weeks, so hopefully we'll see it maybe even on this product. You do have access to the Windows desktop right here, and you can see we have little shortcuts right down here in our taskbar, not just to good old IE, and this is IE just like you know on your laptop, but also Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and now Outlook. That's included with the price of the tablet, which starts at $449 for the 32 gig model and $549 for the 64 gig model. Now, before you get too excited by all of that storage, you know the operating system and, well, Office takes up some space on there. So Microsoft says about 15 gigs available on the 32 gig model. Actually, we had 17 gigs available. And now, even after installing Office, Halo, Spartan Assault, a couple of other Live Tile applications, we still have 16.4 gigs free. So, if you want to keep your media on the device, obviously you're going to be more interested in that 64 gig version. We do have a micro SD card slot here. We do have USB, so you can use USB hard drives, USB flash drives. You can access your media files stored on external devices and, of course, on the cloud, on your network, any place like that. It looks almost the same as the last generation Surface. It's gotten a little thinner, a little bit lighter, and the touch cover and type cover have been revised. We'll talk about that in a minute. And this is the touch cover, which is the fabric cover. It doesn't have the clicky keys on it, and that one's $120. So let's separate it. It still has that same amazing strong magnet. Oh, you see, there you go. You could pick it up and carry it around by this if you were so possessed to do so. Most noticeable change is actually the color scheme. Still vapor magnesium. This is a magnesium alloy casing, but now it's in a kind of, well, magnesium silver color. They didn't really want to change the Pro 2 color that much. I don't know why they decided to do this one, but no complaints. It's nice enough looking. Still fairly thin, 0.35 inches. Now it's a little over 1.4 pounds, so it's about the same as the iPad with Retina display, but not as absurdly light as the just announced iPad Air that weighs only a pound. Boy, just when manufacturers start shaving the weight down, there goes Apple changing the game with a 1 pound 10-inch tablet. This is a 10.6-inch tablet. Another improvement is the display, now full HD 1920 by 1080. Really lovely display. Everything about the hardware is just top-notch here. And if you're asking yourself if you should get this versus maybe something running an Intel Atom, especially now that the quad-core Bay Trails are coming out, well, that's a good question to ask yourself because you can run full Windows programs there. As we saw the dual-core Clover Trail models, though, generally speaking, the hardware was kind of cheesy, kind of chintzy, because they were trying to be budget products that more people could afford. And also the dual-core Atom was not much of a performer, which actually makes this, running on a Tegra 4 T40 CPU, feel that much faster. So there will be trade-offs. Anyway, you're getting the premium treatment here. Beautiful magnesium casing. Really stunning full HD display with nice color accuracy, excellent contrast and clarity, wide viewing angles, IPS display. Here on the side we have a speaker. There's one on the other side. Stereo speakers with Dolby audio. For a tablet it sounds pretty good. It has good separation. It's not super duper screamingly loud or anything like that though. There's our headphone jack, combo mic audio. Volume controls are over here. This little sculpted notch is to help you pull out the back cover, which leads to another change. People complained about the first Surface. It had this angle only, and some of you wanted to put it on your lap and lean it back further. Well, now you can do that. You got a 25 degree, and now we have the 40 degree position, which makes it pretty comfy to use in your lap. I mean, depends on your torso height, what you like, but I think that most people will be happy with the two positions that are available. Now, it's not like the Sony Vaio Tap 11, which gives you infinite, or almost infinite, levels of adjustment, but this one's pretty sturdy. It's still got that same metal apron running across the back. I like it overall. You can actually see the hinge mechanism a little bit more exposed than it was on the last one there. Your micro SD card slot is right over here. Microsoft says cards up to 64 gigs in capacity. That's our Pogo style magnetic charging connector. For a USB 3.0 port right here, micro HDMI, and there's our other speaker. And up top is the power button. Nothing too exciting up there, just your power button. On the back, a 5 megapixel camera. On the front, above the display, we have a 3.5 megapixel camera. So what's going on there? The Surface Pro 2 only gets 720p webcams front and back, just like the first generation, but this guy gets a serious upgrade, probably to compete with mobile OS tablets, because Android and iOS tablets tend to have better cameras. When you open and close it, you can feel it locking into those two available positions. It's pretty obvious, nice and firm, and it makes that nice funk when you close it. So overall, really nice quality hardware. Probably nicer hardware than you're going to find on similarly priced, again, Intel Atom Bay Trail tablets when they come out. So just as with the first generation Surface products, you have your choice between the touch cover, which is a fabric cover available in the usual zingy colors like cyan, magenta, or more staid black here, and you can get the type cover. This one's $120. The type cover is $130. Both are now backlit. Make sure you get the one that says type cover 2 or touch cover 2, so you get that backlighting. And this is much improved in terms of sensitivity. The touch cover right here, you don't have to really press with as much, well, thought. You can touch type really. I was going wickedly fast with this. I was pretty darn impressed. More sensors here, also support some gestures. Again, I don't think that's quite so useful. We still have our little touchpad down here in case you don't want to touch the screen. But anyway, much better typing experience. It's really pretty impressive. The backlighting, you can see it. It's kind of freaky. I mean, it's fabric. Like, how are they doing that? Who knows? But they are. And there's even adjustable backlight. Up here, you can adjust the backlight of the keyboard to a couple of different levels. And you can see you got your shortcuts right here also to media playback and to settings, home and page up, page down are up here on the top. So much as it's an unconventional keyboard, it has a fairly conventional layout. It's very thin. It weighs 6.8 ounces according to our digital scale. Obviously it connects with that miraculously strong magnetic connector, just like previous Surface keyboards. And they've made it a little stiffer, more rigid. So again, if you're using it on your lap, it's nice. It's not going to flex too much. It's really pretty darn stiff. And the surface here, the last one was a little bit more like felt, which might have looked cool, but you know, it got dirty, easy, and messed up. This one feels a little bit more, I don't know, sort of like a modern reinterpretation of matte vinyl. It feels kind of nice, actually, and it's easier to clean up as well. And to put it on there, as ever, you just get it somewhere near the bottom, and whoop, there it goes. It goes on, and you can fold it back, and it knows if you folded it back. So now if I'm touching the keyboard while the tablet is actually turned on, it's not going to start responding to the keyboard. So it's intelligent in that respect. And obviously when you fold it over, it becomes a case. Utilitarian and thin and light. So a nice portable product, protects your screen. Now obviously you don't have to buy the keyboard with this. It would be kind of nice if Microsoft bundled them in, because I think the whole selling point of the Surface 2 and the Surface Pro 2 are really the productivity that you can do with it, and well, that kind of requires a keyboard for most of us. But anyway, they are sold separately. If you want to, this says Bluetooth 4.0. You can use your own Bluetooth keyboard. You could use a USB keyboard. You can plug a USB hub into the single USB 3.0 port right over here to use multiple USB peripherals at the same time. Though this does not run Windows programs, EXEs, Microsoft puts a nice stock of drivers on here, so you'll find your mice, your keyboards, your printers, things like that work pretty well. In terms of software experience, well, it's Windows 8.1. Windows 8.1 is the update, obviously, to Windows 8, and it gives us better display scaling. Important for something like this, 10.6 inches, but very high resolution, so you want the desktop particularly to be readable, and indeed it is. And we get some new features, including the semi-return of the Start menu. Now, you can have your live tiles right here, and by default, when you install programs, it doesn't necessarily set a live tile up. You might have to find it yourself. If you want to get to all programs view, that's how you do it now. You just swipe up from the middle and you can find them. You can press and hold on anything you want to pin to your Start menu. To get out of here, you just hit the home button again. And if we want to get to the desktop, you can either hit the Windows key and D, or you can assign a live tile to the desktop. And there it is, the wonderful world of Windows Desktop. And we've got full IE running here. This is not the Metro version, obviously. So there's some point to having the desktop here. I know some people ask, why does it even exist? Just as a way for Microsoft Office to run, and that is certainly part of it because those still run under the desktop mode, but it does give you access to the familiarity of Windows, to the File Explorer, to everything else that's here. I've got my computer icon, I have my recycle bin, all those things that you would have on any Windows computer are here, the File Explorer and all of its glory and power. And we have some new things for higher resolution displays. You can see I have 2 tabs right here on my browser. Now what if I want to have a split screen view? It's as easy as dragging this tab over and putting it over here. And there you go. I've got 2 split screen. And you can change the balance between these. And say you're in Mail, Windows Mail, and you click on a link, it's going to split screen and open up the link in the browser here. So you can still see your email while you're looking at the link. So some definite improvements there. And you can see also there's a little start menu there. Now it's not going to give you the conventional start menu the way you used to know it in Windows 7. If you just tap it once, it's just going to take you back there. And we can swipe back sideways. That's how Windows 8 always works. But if you right click on it or press and hold, which I'm going to do in this case, you get a whole lot of kind of Windows PowerShell things here. You can get the programs and features, the Mobility Center, Power Options, Event Viewer, System, Device Manager, Disk Management, Command Prompt, Task Manager, all of those kind of things, the File Explorer. So it's a bit more powerful than it was before. You can always go with third-party start menu enhancements that bring back the Windows 7-like experience if you still miss it. But I'm finding that I really don't so much. And so say I'm either in the Metro desktop or this one, and I hit that Windows plus Q, which brings up the before all programs thing, now it brings up a search window. You really don't have to go look for things visually. You can just start typing in anything. It's going to find files. It's going to find your programs that are installed. So it's pretty efficient. I know it's hard to take change here, but I'm enjoying Windows 8 so far pretty well, and 8.1 much better. And as you can see, speaking of the scaling enhancements, close these. There's my desktop back there, and everything is readable. A little on the small side, but nothing punishing. As you saw, the web browser text was just fine because Windows now handles scaling much better. And in the case of a device like this, where you're not worrying about Windows legacy programs like particularly Adobe Photoshop and things that don't respect Windows scaling and have teeny tiny menus on high resolution displays, everything here is Metro except for the Office applications made by Microsoft, so they do respect scaling. So no problems there with things being readable. Speaking of Office, again, it is included right here, and it has access to all of your SkyDrive stuff too, which is pretty darn handy. So I'm just going to open up a review from SkyDrive that I was working on a while ago. And it's opening this from the cloud. Works fine with SkyDrive. They give you 200 gigs of storage if you buy this product. You also get a year of Skype unlimited calling to landlines and Skype Wi-Fi hotspots, so that's nice. But anyway, you can see there's Office you know and love. Not every single feature is in the RT version, but it's still way more powerful than most mobile OS operating system counterparts to Office that you're going to find right here. So I think it's going to do the job for a lot of people. And now we also have Outlook, which was a sore point before. A lot of people needed their Outlook. Now you get it. So there it is. For those of you people who need to be productive, you get your Word, Excel, your PowerPoint, you get the Windows experience that's familiar, you get the web browser, IE, and with support for Adobe Flash, so you can have a little fun too. It's not a bad prospect. So if you're trying to decide what tablet it is you want to buy, and you're leaning more towards productivity, business use, that kind of thing, certainly this could still make some sense versus something like the iPad or even an Android tablet. When it comes to absolute fun with things like gaming, still iOS and the iPad are going to win way more games here. Even though Windows Store now has about 100,000 applications on here, including things like Adobe Photoshop Express, which is free, a baby version of Photoshop, you're not going to get awesome selection of every app that you know on iOS or Android even. We've got Twitter, we've got Facebook, we have Adobe Reader Touch Edition, we have Evernote, which doesn't have all the features of desktop Evernote, by the way, like things like voice notes, not there. We have our Netflix, Where's My Water too, but some other popular games still aren't here. We've got Flickster, we've got the Weather Channel. There's enough here for mainstream folks. iHeartRadio, eBay, which is really just a portal to their website anyway. And of course, anything you can do with the web browser. You know, if you're not happy with the Dropbox clients that are available, you can just go to Dropbox via the web and get to all of your stuff that way too. We're so used to having apps on tablets and smartphones these days that we kind of forget that you can still do things with a web browser too. Now, the touch keyboard does not have much of any tactile feel. The keys are raised a little bit so you can feel the difference, but it does make a clicky sound, which if you don't like, by the way, you can turn off. You can also use the on-screen keyboard too. And finally, we have press and hold to get the number and other buttons too, which actually I find a little annoying. Press and hold to get the number is pretty cool, but when you have to start dragging around, it actually slows you down. But anyway, now I can type pretty quickly on this and without much practice because I didn't own the previous Surface RT. And you can hear how quickly I'm typing just by the sound of it. So yes, it is usable, but there is also the type cover for those of you who want the more standard mechanical moving kind of keys. Now this does not have a digital Wacom pen like the Surface Pro and Pro 2 have, so you're going to be left with your finger, but you can use things like Fresh Paint to finger paint if you want, which is actually a pretty capable painting tool made by Microsoft these days, is included as well. So let's check out a game and see how well it does. We're going to do Halo Spartan Assault because that one's always pretty popular and it's a nice 3D game. And you can hear the speakers. And we're down to 50% volume. It's still fairly loud for a tablet. 1.7 gigahertz CPU in here, by the way. 2 gigs of RAM. Feels very peppy. Certainly feels peppier than the original Surface RT, and it is a much faster CPU, so it should. I have not encountered any lags, hangs, or bizarre behavior here. And obviously the game is playing quite smoothly. And with this game you can use a mouse and a keyboard if you want. Bluetooth controller is coming, or USB controller. And here's our camera application. Pretty basic stuff. I did a swipe up here so I could get the little controls that there are. Exposure control. We've got a timer. You can change between the front and rear cameras. And you can do spot adjustments as well. You can see there's a panorama mode here. We can switch between still shots and video as well. So we go to the shot. Takes it pretty quickly. Let's switch over to video. And now we are recording some really exciting video of our keyboard. There it is. And if we want to get to the things that we've just shot, you just drag the viewfinder frame and then there it is. And now we are recording some really exciting video. Good audio recording quality. There it is. It's a pretty good looking video, not bad really. And there's our still shot as well. And you can zoom in and take a look at the giant keyboard there. So not bad at all, and the higher resolution than average front camera is pretty bright, so it makes it good for Skype video chat. As with most tablets, the lithium-ion battery is sealed inside. Microsoft claims up to 10 hours of use. That's pretty darn good for a mobile OS tablet, isn't it? Especially one with Windows inside, since we always expect Windows to do worse than other mobile operating systems. And so far in our tests, we're still testing it, so be sure to check out our full written review. It looks like we're going to average about 8 hours of actual use time with the screen on to 8.5 hours, with display auto brightness turned on, set to about 50% Wi-Fi on and in use. And in a mix of use, from email to doing some MS Office work, streaming some YouTube videos, a little Netflix love in there, taking a couple of pictures, that sort of stuff. Comes with the same compact charger here with the slide-in prongs and again the pogo-style metal connector that plugs into the side. Later on, Microsoft's going to be releasing, probably early next year, a keyboard that actually has an extended battery inside too, and there's going to be a funny little RF transmitter doohickey that's going to let you use the touch cover and type cover while they're separated from the device instead. I'm not sure how many people are actually going to want that kind of thing, but you never know. Probably most of you would go with a full Bluetooth keyboard anyway and get something bigger if you really wanted that. So that's the Microsoft Surface 2. It's available now starting at $449, and as a productivity tool actually is really excellent, and the hardware is always as top-notch. The question is, are you going to pick RT or are you going to pick something running full Windows around the same price? I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to read our full written review before you make your decision on the Surface 2, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.